My name is Carl Alleman. I started out working in a foundry clear back in the 30s, and then I ended up starting my own foundry, and I ran that for 38 years. Started out with myself and one employee and ended up with 35 employees. Later on, well, about the time I sold the foundry, which was back in the 70s, I started racing cars. My son was building the cars and I was financing the whole project. And we did that for about 7 or 8 years. And in '67, we were second in the whole West Coast in the amount of wins. Parnelli Jones, who was an all-time famous race driver, his son, Paul Jones, had stopped racing and was training racehorses at Los Alamitos, California. And one day Paul says, "Carl, you ought to get yourself a quarter horse." And I said, "Paul, what in the world would I do that for?" And for 5 more years, we did both, race cars and race horses. And he told me, "You ought to get this, claim this horse. The name is Chai Chang." Well, so Chai Chang produced the horse called Beta Chang, who is my most famous horse. And Beta Chang won numerous futurities and derbies and stuff, and later was even the champion stallion in Oregon for over 10 years. And in '85, on Saturday, his full sister, named Chieno, broke the track record in Grants Pass. And on Sunday, in the futurity, he broke her record. And he won the Mr. California Handicap in Los Alamitos, and Chieno, his sister, won the Miss California Championship down there. After his racing career was over, that's when we put him up for stallion. And as you go out the driveway, on your left-hand side at the long stretch on the driveway, there he is. He's 27 years old now, but he looks like a 2-year-old. I heard about the Emily claims, and I stayed in touch with the original people who lived in the Emily cabin, a man and wife, for 25 years, something like that. These people that had it for so many years, they ended up selling it, and I bought that from this guy that had taken it over. When I decided to go ahead and patent them, the government was already shutting down on patents in the wilderness, so I just went ahead and applied for a patent. To get the patent, you have to prove that there's enough value in the property to make it worthwhile if you could make a living out there. They did a mineral exam on all 3 claims. That took, as I recall, I applied for the patent in '83. The patent was approved then in 1988. And the Forest Service contacted me, and they said, "You know, we don't want you there." But he said, "You did everything right, and we can't deny you the patent." And that's when I got it. That time, the gold value was $200 and some an ounce. Every one of the claims ended up being approved that you could stay out there and make a living. Calvin and I would go down there every 2 or 3 weeks for a weekend dredging. There were quite a few big nuggets. And as far as the quantity goes there, it's quite a bit of gold. This bottom picture was made in 1939 when I first joined the Merchant Marine. This was a picture of one of the ships I was on. There's all my ribbons from the war. This, the seaman's passport, that was good any country in the world. If you were on a ship and got there, you just had to show them that seaman's passport. This is right after I got out of the hospital. I got hurt on board the ship. And then, of course, you had all these other things. Safety for seamen, how to abandon ship, and all of that. Inside of that War Zones of the World, I have drawn every trip I made in it. All Europe and South Pacific and all over. Because I was there 39 to 45, 6 years. I had 2 adopted kids and 2 of my own, and they were all grown and gone. We decided to start taking in foster kids, and actually we've been doing it 10 or 12 years, and we've had between 20 and 25 kids in that time. And anyhow, we have 5 full-time kids. The oldest one is 7, and we're going to continue doing it, that's for sure.